you get to experience multimedia a little bit, you get to experience networking. So I didn't like the cable part, the coding, the gaming, the video editing. Like I didn't like any of those. And I was just like, let me just stick to software development. And that's how I did it. And how I navigated, luckily, I think like I was, I like mixed myself with people who are aligned to, academics, and like we were all academic focused.
Hi everyone, welcome back to Tech Sister. So I'm Tobeka Shabalala, your co-host, and I am coming in to the channel with.
Hi everyone, my name is Nomfundo. Welcome back to our channel.
Welcome everyone. So today, like the other week, we are switching things up. So we spoke mindfulness, and we obviously had a conversation together, and I was able to answer some questions because it's something that I'm passionate about. I hope you've watched it. So today we are going to focus on asking questions from someone who has a computer science degree. And of course, I am asking my co-sister here her journey on tech, journey into tech with a computer science degree. All right. So this will be like someone knowing one of the tech sisters.
Yeah.
Tell us more about yourself.
Oh,
Who
wow.
are you? What do you like doing in your free time? Like stuff like that. Like let us know who you are.
Me? Oh my gosh. Okay. So obviously I'm Nomfundo, and
Obviously.
and I am a software developer. Let me say I'm a software engineer.
Okay.
But I've recently done some transitioning of careers into the data world.
Okay.
So by profession, I am a podcaster. And my free time, I love chilling with my friends. I love learning a lot. I love trying new things, new hobbies, new restaurants, and in a nutshell, nothing much.
No, that's a lot. All right. So we'll come back into your transitioning journey, right?
Okay.
So why the tech industry? Let's start there maybe before we dive into how you actually got into it. Why tech? I mean, there are so many other careers, so many other industries. You could
Yeah.
have been a teacher, a nurse, a doctor, or whatever else. Why tech?
So, okay, to put it simple, the reason I got into tech was because it was the only course left at this other university.
Okay, so chance.
So I was like, I'm not staying at home for the whole year after I
Okay.
finished my matric. I was like, I'm not staying at home. I am taking whatever career makes sense or whatever course makes sense, and I'm going for it. Because initially, I did not see myself in tech. I wanted like your health careers.
Okay.
I wanted a lot of things. I wanted to be a lawyer. I wanted to
Okay.
be a biomedical technician, and I wanted to be a psychologist. One of the three.
Okay.
So
Interesting.
none
Because
of them succeeded.
it's totally opposite, right?
Totally opposite. So
Interesting.
yeah.
So, so it feels like tech chose you.
I think so. I actually think, you know what, when I look at things now, I look at psychology and the type of person I am. It's like, I wouldn't have survived. And I look at law, I have very small patience. Now I need to argue with you there, like, no, he didn't do it, or he didn't, whatever. So I think it was meant to be.
Okay, interesting. So take us through your journey. Okay, you are finishing school. Okay, you kind of touched on it. You're finishing school. Firstly, what subjects did you do?
Okay.
What criteria did you need for you to get into this last course that
Yeah.
was left?
Okay.
And just a few things that happened while you were in varsity,
Okay.
getting into this career. Yeah.
So, like I mentioned, I did not see myself, I did not even apply for IT, right?
Okay.
So when the marks now came back, and all the things I wanted to do, either some of the varsity spaces were full for, the courses I wanted to get into, and or my marks weren't that good for some of the subjects. So when, like, I think, Jan, February, like when everyone now, people are leaving for varsity, I'm like, I'm not staying at home. And I tried my best to, enter into other enter into other varsities, but I couldn't. And then I had applied at TUT, but I never finished my application because I thought I'm going to vet.
Oh, wow. Okay, okay.
So I'm like,
Interesting.
Mina, I'm going to vet. Like, there's no other way. Of which it didn't happen. And, when I had no choice, TUT was my only option. And because then TUT was, it had that stigma, striking and all of those things, it had that bad reputation. So I didn't want to associate myself with that.
But I'm interested, sorry, just to cut you. Why vet?
How, like, we all know it's the, you know,
Okay.
it's the creme de la creme of varsity.
Interesting. Okay.
Everyone
okay.
wants to go to Wits. So I
And
think
did you
it's
meet
because
the
it's
standards though? Because I know
of
they have
Wits.
higher
No, I
standards than
didn't.
okay.
I didn't.
All
I
right.
wanted to go there and, it didn't work. And so I was like, okay, you know what? Because I'm not staying at home, let's just go to TUT. When I got to TUT, the only course that was left that had space was IT. I knew nothing about IT.
Okay.
And when I told my friends and family that, well, I've chosen TUT and I'm doing IT, everyone was shocked, like, IT, are you sure? You? I'm like, well, I'll see when I get there. And my my aim was to get into varsity. Then if I'm not doing well or I don't like the course, I'll transition or change into a different course that I actually want.
Okay.
Maybe they'll give you like some credit, So that was my aim. Like, as long as I get into varsity, I'm not staying home. So yeah, when I got there, and everyone who studies at TUT knows there's always space in IT at TUT. It
Really?
never gets full for
Oh,
some certain
interesting.
reasons.
Okay.
So yeah, that's how I got into TUT and IT.
Okay. And how was like your schooling life there? Like how was
Okay.
studying tech? I mean, so statistics, okay, I don't have numbers, but generally they show that, for example, in the first year you've got a full class.
Yes.
Or okay,
And
in your
then
case you said IT doesn't get full. You've got a bigger class, and as the years go, you dwindle and dwindle until
yeah.
you get to like a few people finishing the course.
So when I started, I was nervous because obviously I don't know anything about this course, and when I like met other people in the course, some people had already CAT experience. They did CAT in high school, and we had CAT in high school, but I just didn't. I chose not to do
Because you were
it.
not planning
Yeah, because I
to.
wasn't planning. And also there was that misconception again that it won't count on your APS, like how LO doesn't count. So it's like, well, there's no point, of which was not true. So if you want to pursue CAT at school, by all means do so. So I didn't choose CAT, and a lot of people, they were like all clued up with computers and IT. But funny thing is, I used to work at an internet cafe sometimes during school holidays
Okay.
and help this other lady out. So I thought to myself, no, man, I can do this. I can type, I can print stuff. So surely I can do something. And again, my idea of what IT was is completely different to what I got to school. I thought I'm going to be fixing computers. And I really thought, oh, this is going to be a boring course. I'm going to be fixing computers. I'm going to be typing stuff nonstop. Like there's no fun in that. And lo and behold, when I got to varsity, fine you. So first year, so I did a diploma in
Okay.
so it's not computer science per se. Okay, it is
Okay,
computer.
what is the actual name of the course that you did?
So I did a national diploma in software development.
Okay.
So what happens? This is specific to TUT. I don't know how other institutions work. What happens is when you get to the institution, right? You all start like at a base level. So you all do the same courses, same IT. Then you choose to branch off wherever you want. So it started off well. First year, passed all my modules. Second year, passed all my modules with distinctions. I'm like, no, man, I'm
I
meant
can
for this.
do
I can do
this.
this. So I was telling my mom, and she's like, so you're not changed? I'm like, no, this is
This
where
is
I'm meant
it.
to be.
Okay.
And then I started doing more research around IT, and I started seeing how people get paid in this field. I'm here to stay.
Okay.
So I'm like, okay, this is good. And then second year, you had to now choose your specialization.
Okay.
So I decided to specialize with software development. So we had met different specializations. So there's business analysis,
Okay. Okay.
there was multimedia. So business analysis is obviously like your information
Yes.
systems, and then there was multimedia. So this is people who would like, I think, do editing, video editing, games, that sort of thing. And then there was this other one, networking. So these were
Networking.
cable
Oh, the
people.
cable. Okay. Okay.
So these were cable people. And then there was software development, and I'm forgetting, oh, IIS, the last one. So
Oh.
IIS was sort of like your robotics. That was the
Oh.
hardest one. So if you're
Okay.
doing IIS and TT, you were regarded as like extremely smart.
All right.
So it was like one of the robotics, people were like creating and coding robots to actually move
Okay.
them.
Nice.
So I just decided to go into software development, and after my research, it seemed like it had a lot of like opportunities for programming, so I opted for that. And what they do is also they give you like a high level to everything. So before you actually specialize, you get to experience multimedia a little bit. You get to experience networking. So I didn't like the cable part, the coding, the gaming, the video editing. Like I didn't like any of those. And I was just like, let me just stick to software development, and that's how I did it. And how I navigated. Luckily, I think like I was I like mixed myself with people who are aligned to academics, and like we were all academic focused. So the people that I used to go around with, I used to hang around with, were very people like who were focused on school,
Okay.
like academic minded people. So it made schooling or varsity life very easy, and it was hard. Obviously, it's
Yeah. 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 Yeah.
varsity,
Yeah.
but I think they made my whole journey easier.
So I'm hearing you say that it's important who you surround yourself with
Yep,
when you are in varsity.
definitely. It is absolutely important, because then you know what they say, show me your friends and I'll tell
Show
you
you
who
your
you are.
future.
Exactly. So if I surround myself with people who aren't about school, there are chances of me not being interested in school are high. So a lot of my friends, the people who wanted to pass, people who my roommate back then, who's my friend now, she used to be so scared of failing. So I think what it
Wrapped off on you.
yeah. So I think what all the people in my life back then made the journey easier, because all we were doing is studying, and of course we're having a lot of fun here and there, but we were just really focused on why we came here. So I think that made life simpler, my varsity life simpler.
So I would have wanted to ask who inspired you to get into tech, but we all know it
No,
fell in your lap. But I'm interested in you. You said you had five things to choose from.
yeah.
Why soft? So yes, you dabbled in a little bit. Do you not look back and think maybe I should have,
Chosen
chosen
something
something
else.
else, or given the chance, would you maybe do a course that's focused there just to enhance your skills or to have something else up your sleeve? Like,
Um, maybe not. So the reason, as I say, maybe not, is because there are some people who did not choose software development as a specialization, but ended up in software development. So
oh,
a
okay.
part of me feel like, oh, I didn't need to go through all of that hardship, because software development was hard. There was this module called TPG. It was hard. It was C++ programming. It was unnecessarily hard,
Necessary.
there was no need for it to be that
Yeah.
difficult. So it was so hard, and I felt like sometimes maybe I would have just gone for any other thing, and I would have landed there, because I have friends who did business analysis, I have friends who did multimedia or IIS or something completely different from software development, but are doing programming now. Or I think,
Okay.
what, when you have the degree sometimes or the qualification, you can just enter anyway.
Yeah.
So I think somewhere, somehow, but I'm glad I did it because it did provide like a fundamental base of programming, but it was hard. There was no need.
Too much.
Exactly.
All right. And I mean, you chose software development. You mentioned that you had researched about the money. So that was one of the driving factors, I guess, in you choosing that.
Of course. We all know by now.
But realistically, do you think that people should choose it because of money? You are in it now, right?
Okay.
We'll get to how you how you actually got into the industry eventually. You are in it now. Should people choose it because of money? To be honest.
Topic. Wow. What a deep question.
I want to know because honestly, there's a
Yeah.
couple of because even when I was in varsity, for example, ne, there were these. Okay. First want to go to a question around women in your course, but let's park that for now. So, there were people who would literally get articles and like, oh look how much we might earn in the future.
Okay.
But my question is,
Okay.
realistically, should we be choosing software development because of
Money.
this money that we
Okay.
think?
So I think that if you set yourself in anything and you look at money alone, you'll be disappointed because there is potential for financial growth in this industry. Yes. But I think that there needs to be some level of passion, right? I'm not saying I'm passionate because I don't wake up and be like, oh, I'm doing this for money. I wake up because I love what I do.
Yeah.
And I do what I do because I love it. So you have to have some level of passion, like at least a little bit of passion, and then money after. Because if you're only driven by money, you're not going to enjoy what you're doing because this, again, is not a fun industry. It's not all roses every time. It gets hectic, it gets complicated, it gets frustrating. Sometimes you'll do more, sometimes you'll do less. And then but if your driving force all the time is money, you're not going to enjoy it. And I'm not sure how far you'll go. We all love money, but I don't think it should be the number one driving factor. Maybe number 3. I don't know.
Okay, makes sense. Makes sense. I get you.
Yeah.
So back to my question, right? So obviously you said it doesn't get full.
Yeah.
But I'm interested to know how many women were actually in your class, because I'll tell you an interesting story.
Okay.
I think, if I'm not mistaken, so we were divided into like sections. It was not like mainstream university.
Yeah.
So it divided into sections, and I think in the section that I was in, there were only 2 females
Oh.
out of the whole class. And at the end, I was the only one in that section. So I'm interested. I'm interested. How many females were in your class, and did they all complete, or at least how many % of them finished?
So, to be quite honest, there was a lot of women.
Oh, is it?
A lot of women.
Okay.
And I don't know if it's because maybe the institution is like quite a large institution, but there were a lot of women. So the women in tech, or this is a male-dominated industry. I only found out about it when I started working, because at school everything to me seemed normal. Females everywhere.
But why is it not translating into the workplace?
I don't know.
Because I mean,
Yeah.
it feels like there are no women from the start, like from
But
the
that's the thing.
varsity
There are so many
phase.
women in varsity who are doing IT. There are like a lot of
Interesting.
females in varsity that are doing IT. So I don't know where we get
Where is
lost
it
or what happens
breaking?
in the pipeline when we have to get into the work industry.
Interesting.
Even in graduations. And there was a lot of us.
Even graduation.
Even graduation.
Oh my goodness. So where are they?
I don't know. There's a lot of women. Like, or maybe it's because I'm not comparing the amount of men to women.
No,
But
not at
it's
all.
not
But
that I can
like,
count us, because there was a lot.
yeah,
I
like
I
me saying
considered,
2 or 3.
exactly. You see,
Yeah.
you could notice that there's only two of us in class. Maybe in actually some classes there'd be more female than men.
Wow.
So
So we are
I
getting
can't count it
lost in the
exactly.
system somewhere.
So I can't count and say there was 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 of us. There was a lot of us in class. There's a lot of women in tech, which is why I'm
It's
confused. It's
strange, nah?
strange. Yeah,
Okay. Wow, we should research on that or
yeah.
find someone
We
who will
should
tell
find out
us
what's happening.
where.
Yeah, where are we getting lost?
All right, now you're done with varsity, you've graduated. How do you enter the corporate space? Because obviously we know the job market, it's said that a lot of people have their degrees, they don't have
Yeah,
jobs, or
yeah.
whatever else. How did you manage to get into the corporate space with your degree and not end up with your fears of being home?
Yeah. So at TUT again, this is why I love it, because then with TUT, there's something called a will work, something that you have to do before you actually graduate. So you have to find a job before you graduate.
Okay, okay.
So it's like a 6 month, it's like a module that you actually have to do, and you won't graduate unless you do it. So you have to
Okay.
you have to like actually work, have a manager, all of those things. And so before I graduated, I had to find a job. And I got into this boot camp. It's like a boot camp. It's called the Digital Academy. Well, they've
Okay.
changed their name now. I think it's Shaper, if I'm not mistaken. And I think that I look back at that boot camp and I feel like it was a great kickstart to my career. So besides the fact that I wanted to graduate, I don't know how other boot camps work, but unlike any other boot camp, they actually find a job for you, like a job.
It acts as a contracting house, basically.
Not necessarily.
Okay.
So this is how it works. Now I'm promoting Digital Academy.
It's
Shout
all
out
right.
anyways.
I mean, someone out there might want to get
Exactly.
into the industry and maybe they didn't
Yeah.
know about it. So it's
So
okay.
the Digital Academy, what happens, which is now Shaper, okay, but I'll call it the Digital Academy because that's what we call the DA. So what happens is it's a 6 month, it's actually a 1 year boot camp, right? So you apply, and like any other boot camp, they teach you different skills, front end, back end, all of that. And you don't necessarily have to have a degree to get into it. So minimum requirements is
Okay.
actually metric, right? And so when I got into the boot camp, 6 months, they teach you all the skills, and you can choose either to do back end, full stack, front end. They have extended their courses now. They also have data science. So you can choose where you want to maybe lie, or where your skills you feel strong. And then after that, they have partnered with big corporations in the financial sector, in the insurance sector, small startups, everything like that. And then they try to place you. So the first 6 months you're with them, the other 6 months you're in that other company that they've placed you
Whichever it
at.
is.
Yes.
Okay.
So when they've placed you in that company, what happens is now you need to work your ass off to prove yourself that you need to stay, because they've done their part. Like, okay, we'll put you here, and then you just need to work hard here, and whatever happens after that, then it's up to you.
So you'd say the company then decides if they're keeping you
Yes.
longer term.
Yes.
Okay, okay.
So, I mean, you can go back to them. It's not like they're saying, we're not getting involved now. You can go back, and they also have jobs that they have, like you can become a teacher, a team leader, someone who teaches, like how we were
Okay,
taught,
okay.
someone who teaches other people the programming and all of those things. So you can work with them, and they've also partnered with like many other organizations where you can work. So you can go back and sort of it's not really contracting house, but sort of contract under them, whilst working maybe in other places. So they also, I think they also do freelancing now. I'm not sure.
Okay.
But yeah, so that's how I actually got my first corporate job. It was through them. And like I said, you don't need to have a degree with them. It's just that
It's now the company
it's not
who
the company,
might.
yes, who would say, actually, we want a degree, or we want a qualification of some sort. But with them, they can place you anywhere they have connections or, what collaborations with. So, yeah.
Okay. And then now you're in corporate. Now you're in the tech space. How many females do you find in your team? Or did you feel like we were saying, where are the females?
Yeah.
Did that translate in the corporate space where you're saying, okay, like where are all the people maybe I
Yep.
graduated with? Or at your digital academy, were there a lot of females still
So,
or lesser?
see, here's a funny thing, right? So at DA, there were more females.
Oh
I
my.
think there were only 4 guys. So
This is
I
strange,
know.
man.
So there was like 20 of us, maybe in a cohort. Now they take more, but then it was 20 of us because of it was COVID, right? So there was 20 of us and there were only 4 guys. So count how many females are there.
Sure.
15, 16.
And were they all placed though? All those, would you know if everyone's saying, oh, I have a job now?
So a lot of us were placed. I don't know with everyone. I think more than half of us were placed, and
Okay,
more than
okay.
half of us have jobs. Even if some of them obviously moved to other places, maybe moved to a different job, or they didn't actually continue with where they were placed, but they got something else. So more than half of us were placed. Yeah,
That's strange.
I
I'm
know.
trying to, the maths is not
The
mathing.
math is definitely not mathing, because then when I got to corporate, there were only 2 females. It
In your
was me
team.
and this other lady in my
Alright.
team. So, and well, this is for developers specifically, yes. But yeah, even now,
And then we mentioned like the different business analysis, because we've spoken about the different careers in
yeah,
tech.
yeah.
Can we quantify it by saying maybe they are going into the other ones? So I
Yes.
remember we have data, we have whatever else,
Yeah.
all those things, we have testing, we have whatever.
Yeah.
Is it perhaps that when we are saying they're getting lost in the system, maybe it's not that they are lost, maybe they are doing other
Other things.
tech related
I,
jobs?
yes, I think we can say that, because um, if you listened to Refilwe when she
Yes.
was here, she did say that a lot of us women are struggling when it comes to coding or coding challenges that we are given, and then they look to maybe give them less technical roles, such as business analysis, or maybe some sort of other testing, because there's different types of testing also. So I don't know. Could be,
Maybe that's
maybe
it.
that's
We
why. And I think
must
maybe
find
it's
out.
because then also with us women in tech, and especially those who are deep in programming, maybe we don't consider, I don't know, maybe we don't consider like the softer, like your Scrum Master, as,
Documentation and
yeah,
stuff like
as
that.
being women in tech, or, maybe that's why we think there aren't a lot of us. Maybe there's a lot of, I don't know. I really don't know.
It's straight. Yeah, I think we should really find out. Like, yeah, or maybe our idea of women in tech
Exactly.
is
Yeah, I don't
is
know.
a bit.
Because it feels like there's a lot of us, but also,
Where are we
I think you
ending
know what
up?
the issue is. There's a lot of us. If right now I say all the women in tech stand up, a lot of women are going to stand up. But in, I think what we're getting exposed to in our teams, why am I the only female? In, like, why is there only 2 of us? Why
Yeah,
is there 6 men
for
and
the
just 2?
longest of time, I was like the only female
Exactly. Why
in
am
a
I the,
dev team, for
you understand?
example.
So we need to understand, okay, there's a lot of us, but where are we? Maybe we are in different careers.
Yeah, probably, but I think it's something worth finding out
Finding
and
out,
figuring out.
definitely.
And then in the tech space,
Yeah.
any lessons that you feel? Because sometimes we shouldn't let people make mistakes. So what lessons would you say you've grasped from this? Or are there any mistakes that you feel that you've made that maybe, no man, the next person shouldn't be making them? Like what do you think?
Lessons. I think that I was so stuck in knowing what I know, and I want to know what I know, and that's all. And here's what I mean. IT is a constantly evolving field.
Okay.
That C sharp you want to master and feel like, I don't want to learn anything else might be relevant in the next 5 years. And that, like, I think you, in the back of your mind, you need to constantly be, I might not do this forever. I might not do this in the next year, because I was not ready to let go of a programming language I was doing, because it's just like, I want to master this. I want to be so perfect at this. But then things evolve, then they throw it away. Because sometimes it's not even a thing of maybe I'm going to change teams, and your own team will say, we are
This
migrating,
is the
or we are
only, oh, this
decommissioning.
is the only
Exactly.
language we use in the
Exactly.
team.
We are
Okay.
decommissioning all our systems, and we are going to now use, I don't know, Java. And so in the back of your mind, you need to maybe not, don't hate, because I used to hate Java. Don't hate a language. It's not worth it. So it's a constantly evolving field, and you need to align yourself with that anything might change, be ready for the change, and stick it up. So yeah.
Okay.
I think that's one thing that I feel like I struggled, and I'm glad that I learned it quite early in my career, so that I don't, in the next 5 years, because there are people who are still coding in COBOL for legacy systems.
What are they coding in COBOL?
I think they're maintaining legacy systems in like big corporations. I
Yee.
think, because I see like COBOL developers, like people are still looking for COBOL developers. How old is this person going to be? So yeah,
Yeah, they're looking for people in their 50s, surely.
surely. But I
Sure.
know a young guy who's doing COBOL. I don't know where he learned
Where
it.
did he learn?
Exactly. I don't know
Because
where he
no
learned it.
universities offered that.
So yeah.
And then you speak about an ever evolving space, right? So, learning.
Yes.
Do you feel like your degree that you got, how many years ago? I don't know.
Yeah.
However many years ago,
Few
your
years ago.
degree that you got, right? Is it all that you need in this industry, or do you think that there is room, or like as a person going into tech, as a
Yeah.
woman going to tech, you should think about more courses, more certification, like, or is it okay that, you know what, I did my 3 years or 4 years and that's it?
So I think that it's the minimum, at least, gateway
Okay.
for you to enter. And I'm not saying that you need a degree, because if you look at our ministers and cabinets, most of them are just matriculants. But anyways,
Asikula.
I'm not saying that you need a degree, but I think that because, like how I got into DA, they didn't really want a qualification. And I didn't have a qualification when I got into DA, because I needed the job before I graduated, remember. So, but I think it depends on where you want to go and your maybe career aspirations as well. Some corporate companies, like I said, like, and also like Refilo mentioned, they're going to look at the qualifications, at least like a minimum of a diploma or degree. And then other ones, okay, they don't care. Maybe like, your tech startups, or, software-based companies. Maybe some of them aren't even they're looking at your experience, they're looking at your skills, what can you do? But in terms of maybe, do you need anything else? I think that looking at everything now, it's important to make yourself relevant, right? And I remember there's a leader that used to say, it's not just a paper. It's not just a paper, because it's a gateway to a lot of things. So certifications, you don't need to like go back to varsity, because here's my thing, right? Sometimes I feel like varsity isn't all that,
Okay.
because actually we'll get to that. But no, you don't need
Extra stuff.
extra. So as long as you have a degree, I think, or a diploma, I think that it can push you. Just so certify yourself with other
But
things.
but if we are saying you don't need anything extra, how do you keep up with this ever evolving world? Because you were saying it's ever evolving.
Yeah.
If we don't need anything extra, so what would you say someone who has their degree,
Yeah.
how should they keep up then with this evolving nature or all the tech
So
skills that come into play?
the internet obviously is going to be your best friend because it will be the one that's telling you what's coming, what's going.
Okay.
Maybe where AI is now, it will tell you which languages are relevant now and so forth. So I think that make that your best friend and then align your skills in terms of certifications. There's Udemy, there's YouTube. Yeah, AWS, I think it's quite important that a lot of people maybe just, align themselves, especially with the cloud. Everyone's moving to the cloud. So in this day and age, if you're not learning machine learning or AI, at least cloud, have a certifications with AWS or anything for that matter. Just make sure you're keeping up, make sure you're relevant because if if in 5 years' time you don't know anything about cloud, people are
Are
going to
you
be like,
relevant?
we're looking for someone who has skills with Redshift or S3 or whatever the case may be. So,
So I'm hearing you say you don't necessarily need to go back to traditional classes.
yes,
Maybe you can do your short courses after
yes.
you have the paper, the very important paper. Okay. Okay,
But
cool.
I know some people might bash me because I'm currently continuing with my studies. But
I,
I
I
think
think
again,
what you mentioned is alignment. So
is
so
where I
maybe
want to
for
go.
you it's important. Okay, so let's rephrase that. So it all depends on where you want to go,
Yes,
and you need to, there's a saying, you need to read the room. So you
yes,
need to know in the space that you're in or in the organization that you're in, what would make sense for you. Would it be
exactly.
a traditional class or would it be just certifying online or whatever, I guess?
Absolutely what I'm saying.
Okay, got you. All right, and then you mentioned medical what. What would you tell your 18-year-old self? I'm assuming you finished at 18, right?
Yeah.
Okay. What would you tell your 18-year-old self looking back and where you are?
I say this all the time, and I think I still say this to myself now. It will all work out.
Okay.
Like, don't rush it, don't stress it, because the reason is by 18, it's like we all know, we're supposed to know what we want for our futures. We're not exposed to all these careers, and there's this pressure that, yeah, you must make sure you're going to be a lawyer or a nurse or a doctor or a teacher. And then people get to varsities, they become depressed. So, like, take it easy, man. Don't be hard on yourself. It's all gonna be fine. I
Okay.
think I'll tell myself that because of the society pressures of, and this is why maybe I didn't want to stay at home because maybe there was a pressure like, if you're staying at home, that means you failed your matric or you didn't do well. And maybe I didn't want to be perceived like that. I wanted to, like, no, guys, I made it.
So
But
we're
it
saying
doesn't.
there's nothing wrong if someone decides, okay, gap year because I didn't get what I want.
I think that if you don't know what you want, it's fine. Don't rush yourself just because people are saying you must know what you want. Because then you go into varsity, you do the wrong careers, you get into depression, you get into drugs, and all of those things. So I think know what you want first, and then
Go for it.
go for it.
And then speaking of your younger self, right? How did you transition from being a varsity kid to being in corporate? Like how did you know what to do when you got to corporate?
Okay.
Because I mean,
Yeah.
maybe there's someone studying out there, they want to get into corporate.
Okay. So I think when I joined corporate, I felt like this little ant in such a
In a
big
big
space,
space.
like I felt the need to be so professional, like of which you should, but I think that maybe when I got into corporate, what I would have wanted to hear or someone tell me is that these people are not your friends, but they're not the enemies either. So because of also how corporate was perceived, um, this thing of doing the bare minimum, I would not say do the bare minimum because I did not do the bare minimum to get where I am. So work hard. That's what I would say. Work hard. And especially, again, I think as women in tech, you don't want to get like a free ticket or a free pass that you got the job just because you're a woman in tech and they're trying to meet the BE score. So in this industry, work hard. Like, I know maybe we don't want to be working twice as hard as men to prove ourselves, but we also don't want to have the stigma of, they just women, they're here because we're trying to meet the BE. So I think work hard.
Work hard.
So yeah, in corporate, work hard, and also those people aren't your friends though.
And then top one to do and don't in corporate.
Like, is this like in general or specific to something?
Specific to no general.
General.
Let's say general.
Okay. Treat corporate like a proper job. Just because
Okay.
people are friendly there and you got into a nice team does not mean, they are your friends. Don't dress anyhow. Don't speak anyhow. Work hard. Also remember you are replaceable. Keep that in the back of your mind.
Okay.
Because if push comes to shove one day and you're not meeting the standards or whatever, they will fire you, or they will drop you like a hot potato. So work hard. They're not your friends. They're irreplaceable. So keep that in mind.
Okay. Any regrets for being in this space, or any regrets that somehow you found that there was no space? Like, do you regret anything or any path that you've taken to get this far?
No,
Not at all.
not at all. Zero regrets from my side.
Interesting.
Nothing from my side.
Nothing from it. All right. And then I did say we'll come back to the fact that you've transitioned from you said what? So programming in a specific language, you are now in a data space. Take us through firstly, did you know what you were getting yourself into? Did you have to change languages? Did you,
Yeah.
all of that?
So when I transitioned, I did not know what I was getting myself into. And I think it was the keen. So what sparked it was the keen interest for what is data, what's happening around the data world, what's happening in the data space. So I got into that, and when I tell you it was difficult, which is why I'm saying always be ready to evolve. When I transitioned, totally, maybe when you know programming, right, you think, I'm sorted. Sometimes languages are completely different from each other. And the syntax, and you start feeling like, I sort of, like, at some point I started feeling dumb. Like,
I don't know this.
exactly, like, why is it taking so long for me to to understand this new language, to understand this new space, like all the lingo that's been, especially data science people. These people use this lingo, Hugging Face, ML, what that Llama 2. It was so frustrating. It was so frustrating. I remember calling a colleague, like, you guys are frustrating me.
What are you saying?
What are you saying? Like, can you guys just speak in English, please? So I think it was very hard transitioning and understanding from software development. You know your APIs, like you know what you know, and then into a completely different space. And I was shocked because I did not think that transitioning in one industry can be so different. Because you think, okay, well, there's going to be similar stuff that I have to know, but yeah, it was. I
Different.
knew nothing. It felt like I had to start from scratch, and I think it became hard again for me because I didn't want to let go of the language that I knew then. It's like, I want to, like, aren't there C-sharp stuff here? Like, isn't something I can do? And, so I had to let go of that and learn this new complete language. And it took months for me to say, okay, you know what?
Now I'm good.
It's fine. Let me start from scratch. Let me learn everything that I have to learn here. So it's completely different. Because I think if you put a data engineer or data science in the same room as a software developer,
Different.
Different conversations are being had. Completely different. You know, this one is
And what's
talking
the main language that you are using in the
some
data space?
Python.
Python. Okay.
So I moved from C# to Python. Well, obviously there's practices that are similar, but syntax is completely different. It's not like moving from Java to C#. There's some syntax there is like similar. Everyone knows Python and C# completely there. I was so confused, like, why are they writing their for loops like this? Their if statements, you know, everything. But yeah,
All right. So just to
yeah.
sort of like give a summary of what you said. Okay. So firstly, you spoke about tech chose you, from what we gather. Tech
I
chose you
believe so.
because that's all that you had left, right? And then it's not about the varsity that you go to because you wanted to go to VIT. It's not about that. So it's not about where you go. It's about the substance that you learn at the end of the day in order to get into the tech space. The degree is very important. Yes, it is your entry into different corporates. So obviously, depending on which corporate you get into and what exactly they want, keep yourself upskilled. What else? Yeah, that's more or less
More or
it,
less,
right?
yeah.
So lastly, before we close, someone out there wanting to get into tech, a young girl or boy, maybe wanting to get into tech, what little advice would you give them?
Okay.
And what else? Yeah, maybe shout out to the place that you studied
DA.
at and the place that put you in. And then maybe if you can just give me a brief of how getting into DA, did you know about it? Did you look for it yourself or did they help you at the varsity? So just add that to that at the end. And yeah, then we can wrap up.
So for someone willing maybe to go into tech, and obviously I would say go to varsity. But if you can't, if you remember, we had Trisha, right? And she
Yes.
shared her story. But if you can't, there are people like Trisha who didn't go through the traditional method and they had the reasons of which some somehow feel like it's valid. But again, alignment, because of where I want to be, where I want to go, I would go through the traditional method, right? Some places look at just your skills and your experience, some places look at your qualifications. And then, what was the other question?
Just where you studied,
Okay,
just a
okay,
shout out
okay.
about that. How long? How many years actually did you study as
So
well?
it
I
was
think
supposed
I
to be
didn't hear
4 years.
it. Supposed to be. Okay,
So I
so it's
think
a 4-year course.
it's a 4 year course.
Okay.
There's a module I failed when I was about to finish, but
Okay.
yeah. And I think, or sometimes, to be quite honest, sometimes what makes it longer is because of you still
The
need to find the
work.
job
Yeah,
first
the
before you
work.
finish. Yeah.
Okay.
But yeah, you know, you can go to school, you can go do courses, constantly upskill yourself, align with what is trending right now. If you are looking from a now perspective, data is the new thing. There's like a large need for data engineers and data scientists, data analysts, AI, machine learning. If you can upskill yourself with those things, you know, prompt engineering. There's so many courses in
That you
IT. There
can
is
do.
so many courses that I also don't even know about. So yeah, and you know, I wouldn't also say, you know, I got a job on LinkedIn, do this, do that. I got it through a boot camp. So boot camps are worth it, totally, but it also depends on which one you go to. So the one I went to, which is the Digital Academy called Shaper now, you guys can check them out on LinkedIn and social medias.
How
They
did you find out about them? Sorry.
Oh, a friend of mine went there and she got the job there. I think she found out about it on social media.
Oh,
She saw
okay.
it. We both applied, but then because they take like a number of people per cohort, they took her, and
And
then
then
the
the
next
next.
cohort,
Okay.
I was able to go through.
Okay.
So yeah,
Okay.
so they
Okay.
take
So
per
social
year.
media
Yeah,
helped you find.
social media. They also on LinkedIn. They post. So they also have a core or like a cohort where they take people with disability. So
Okay,
if you
okay.
like can't see
Any
any
disability, you should
disability
be
that you
able.
have,
Oh,
so
nice.
they've
So
also trained
inclusion.
inclusion.
Okay.
So they have quite, yeah, they do that. So yeah,
Nice, nice. Thank you for sharing your journey, sharing your story. It's really interesting that, firstly, you got into the space without knowing anything about
yeah,
it. And I think it's a reality for a lot of people.
it is.
And she also said TET, they don't get full in the IT
Yeah, guys,
space.
if you
So
TT.
consider them if you if you want to get that degree. You said diploma first, and
Diploma,
then
yeah,
okay. So
because it's
consider
not a
them.
traditional university. It's a university of technology. They don't have degrees. So it's
Makes sense.
diplomas and then BTEC, so advanced diploma, and.
Makes sense. So if you're considering getting into the space, TUT is one of the many
Yeah.
places that you can consider. And then yeah, that's it. And then I think the most interesting thing is the fact that you had many people, many women in your space
Yes.
doing that same thing.
Yep.
And then we end up in a country where we keep saying we need more women
women
in
in
tech.
tech.
So it would be
Where are you
interesting to
guys?
find out where is everyone? Like where are you ending up, and why do we still have a small number of women in tech when so many of us are finishing strong? We are graduating.
Yep.
So I mean, yeah, those are the interesting nuggets that I got from this conversation that we had, and we'll explore. Especially, I really want to explore this thing of women
Women in tech.
graduating
Where
and
are
not.
you guys? Because we wouldn't have this podcast if we had
Yeah, more.
more women in tech. You know,
Yes.
the reason why we're talking now is because we're like, we need
Making
more
it
women.
accessible to all the
We need
women.
more women conversations. So new gopi, new corner.
Ah. Well, thank you so much for sharing your journey. It's an interesting journey, and so happy that you mentioned passion as well.
Yeah.
In there, that people just need to have a passion for it. And I hope if you're out there, if you want to get into the tech space, please do come through. We need you all, men and
Yes.
women. And we also want to find out where are the women, where are you ending up? It would be nice to know that. If you can comment on our video, just let us know where you are. Are you maybe choosing other careers besides tech, even though you've done your degrees? So thank you so much.
It's my pleasure.
Thank you. Thank you for watching, and we'll see you on the next one. Bye.
Bye.